And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Top Talk podcast. I'm your host, Harris Marino, alongside me co-hosts Dan Kiley, Kobe Piers. Gentlemen, we're a few days closer. Georgia travels to Neyland Stadium on Saturday. Tennessee Tim, I hope you got that one. On Saturday for its SEC opener. Georgia sporting an 8 straight game win streak. But for the first time, I think since 2022, it seems like the national narrative is Georgia's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you're saying, it's early in the season to think about who's in trouble and who's not. It's also, they played a good Syracuse team, maybe. Love Fran
Up for
Brown. I
debate.
mean, it's up for debate. I mean, love Fran, love what he did last year. They were really good last year. They surprised a lot of people. Had some fantastic portal additions that panned out really nicely. But I mean, you're talking about a team that I believe either almost went to overtime or went to overtime with UConn last week, and they beat those fellas week one. So, um, you know, not saying dogs have been perfect. We left a lot to be desired after last week's game, but it just seems like historically, Kirby Smart has gotten the dogs right for big games and early in the season. Typically, I don't see us kind of trip and falter till later down the year. But hey, got a good team. I don't think any of us on this podcast thought when we heard that Nico was transferring that they would upgrade at quarterback, but I can confidently say that the Tennessee Volunteers are better at quarterback because of who they have than Nico. So, um, you know, excited to kind of debate this show and what's going to go on, what Tennessee maybe brings to the table, maybe what they don't. Hey, it all gets talking season's almost over for this game as well.
I think the fact is we don't know anything about either team. They haven't been challenged. Neither one of them have been challenged in any way, shape, or form. None of the games that they've played were they going to lose. So at the end of the day, we really don't know anything. So we're going to find out a lot. And you're right, it's a big game because it's the SEC opener. There are, I know, and we will get to them, I'm sure, but there are so many trends right now that are favoring Georgia that almost makes you a little bit superstitious. You're like, oh, wow, that is like a lot of like big numbers versus little numbers. And just it almost seems like a market correction is due at some point. So I think that makes us a little bit nervous from the non-football aspect of it, where a little superstition starts to creep in, and I think it starts to add a little doubt to your mind. And then I think this game becomes more dangerous in your mind than maybe it really is. But we don't really know. I mean, Tennessee could be really damn good. Georgia might be really bad. I mean, we don't know. Or Georgia could be amazing. We just there is no test that has been taken to this point that will give you a definitive result. But I think we're going to have a lot of answers after this game.
Yeah, speaking of those trends, we mentioned off the top of the show, Georgia's on an 8-game win streak. It is the second longest win streak in the history of this rivalry, the longest being 9 games by Tennessee from 1989 through 99. Dan was actually reminiscing about that pre-show when looking over the note sheet tonight. Kirby Smart was a part of 4 of those losses for Georgia in that time, or 3 of those losses in that time. No, it was 4. 4 of those losses in that time as a player. Famously picked off Peyton Manning. Although, according to Peyton, the ball was tipped, shouldn't count as a pick. And then other than that, I mean, we're looking at the other trend. Tennessee's won 9 straight home games. Their last loss coming in 2023 to Georgia, none other than Georgia. They've only lost, I believe it's 3 home games in the Josh Heupel era. Again, 2 of those coming to Georgia in 21 and 23. They also have beaten Alabama at home twice in that same span, both of those coming one last year and the one in 2022. Gentlemen, I think first stat of the day, and in terms of, I think this is where we're going to start. Let's talk about this Tennessee offense. It's nonetheless, I mean, no other way to describe it than explosive. Joey Aguilar, the new quarterback that Kobe mentioned at the top of the show, transferred from App State, but actually transferred from UCLA, the trade between the two programs. He's averaging 288.2 yards of total offense per game. That's the best of any FBS active quarterback. And I mean, what have we always talked about in this matchup? Dan, I think you've been here now for, I think we've previewed 3 Georgia-Tennessee games, and we talk about the explosive plays with them all the time, whether it be the run game, whether it be the passing game. The last time they really consistently hit those was in 22, and I think that was the thing that scared Georgia fans most is like, ooh, they're able to take the top off the defense. Last year, they weren't able to do that, not consistently. Aguilar's come in there. He's already hit on 250-plus yard passing plays this season, both for touchdowns.
Before the show, you said you really wanted us to hammer home some things. One of them would be something that we really liked about this matchup and something we really don't like about this matchup. And mine are going to contradict, and I won't give you both now. But the one thing that I really don't like is how explosive this offense is for Tennessee. And I think it's dangerous. And I'm not saying that it's not stoppable. I'm not saying that we can't do a great job. What I'm saying is when you have an offense on the other side of the ball that's explosive and dangerous, you can shut them down all night long, but it only takes 2 or 3 plays to beat you because they can hit the home run. And I think that's something that if you're a Georgia fan should make you nervous, not because you don't trust our defense, but just because that potential is there to put points on the board very, very quick. Whereas what we've seen out of Georgia so far has been very methodical. We haven't seen a lot of explosive scoring where we can put points on the board quick. So that is the one thing I really don't like about this matchup is how quickly they can put points on the board and how long it takes us to put points on the board. I mean, what do you, I guess since I started with what I don't like, what do you not like?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say that, we're kind of still grooming, for the lack of a better term, some young defensive backs in this game. In 2022, that game was later, much, much later in the year when it occurred. I think that for this one, you kind of have had a couple of early games where you have an Ellis Robinson, a Daniel Harris, a DeMello Jones that have taken numerous reps in the first 2 games. I know DeMello Jones has given up a busted assignment deep pass. Dalen Everett's back. He's going to be your workhorse. KJ Bolden's back. You're still working in Jonel Aguero to full-time at star. I think that, like you're saying, it's going to be a coming-of-age game for a lot of these defensive backs. And I think that's the one place where you're saying, hey, where do we maybe lack a little experience? If Tennessee's strength is, hey, we're throwing the ball, we're making things hard and complex on your DBs, you have just young enough DBs that aren't necessarily bad, but maybe just haven't been there, haven't been in that situation. And you're going to have to ask them, like Dan's saying, not only do you have to be good, you have to be almost perfect, because Tennessee is going to squeeze you into, if you're wrong 1 or 2 plays, it could be 1 or 2 touchdowns. So, the big thing will be just to keep a lid on it as long as possible, make them score the hard way. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like in years past, it's easy between the 20s maybe for Tennessee. Maybe not easy is the right word, but it's much more available between the 20s. And once you get that 20 and in, I just feel like there's just not enough room to be as wrong. We definitely start putting the squeeze on. That's why a lot of these games have been semi-low scoring, because he's kicked the field goals at the time.
I think the biggest thing that concerns me about this matchup is the fact that we're going into a game, into the SC opener, and the term confidence is listed as a concern around the quarterback. Going into a hostile environment, this is his first road start. I mean, other than this, the most hostile environment he went into was the Sugar Bowl, and that was a neutral site. And I would say probably 60% of that was Georgia fans in that stadium. This is massively different. Massively different. We saw the last time Georgia had its road SEC opener with a new quarterback, Carson Beck. Georgia trailed in that game. Trailed by, I believe, 2 touchdowns, or was it 10 points in 2023 on the road at Auburn, and they had to come back to win. He had to throw them back into that football game. And I think that's where it starts for me in terms of concerns is, does Georgia have what it takes to throw its way back into games? So far, we have not seen that. So far, the notion is Georgia has to get ahead and stay ahead. They cannot trail. This game last year, they trailed by 10 points early. It was 10-0, got into a deep hole or 10-0 hole really early in this football game. Carson Beck threw them back into this football game, and you get a win at home. We're talking, if you get down 10 points to Tennessee on the road in that stadium, I mean, it goes from a tough task to what feels like an insurmountable task, because those fans are going to be in the game the entire game, as opposed to years past where you get up early and they quickly start filing out of that stadium by the fourth quarter.
like you're saying, on the road in the SEC is tough. It's something that any coach in the SEC would tell you, any player in the SEC would tell you, any talking head in sports media would tell you that being at home is probably worth 7 points off the jump. Just the environment, not having to travel, being able to stay, at a hotel you're used to, being able to do warm-ups and walkthroughs the way you're used to, playing in front of your crowd. All of those things are worth probably a touchdown on most home fields in the SEC. And in a game that's the Dogs are only favored by 3.5, that's where you start talking about that little bit of tightness, like you're saying. And if all of a sudden you turn around, Tennessee's going to score. I think historically they've always come out fast in games under Heupel against us. A touchdown feels inevitable, but it's the response to that. Can we go down, score a touchdown? Can you squeeze them and have it be 7-7 and us have the ball with a chance to take the lead? It game of inches, for lack of a better term, in maybe even less than that away.
Yeah, so we have some breaking news here. The Vegas gives 3 points for the home field advantage, and Kirby's giving 7. So if you're going to lay a bet, lay it with Kobe. You're going to get much better odds. No, but I hear you, and I hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, because there are a lot of contributors at Georgia that are going to be making the first road start at Tennessee. And there are worse places you can make your first start, but there's not a whole lot of places you can make your start that would be worse. I think Death Valley at LSU would probably be a really tough opportunity to start your career on the road. But 100, what is it? What are they packing there now? What do they claim? 110,000 still, or is it 111 now? What do they claim up there?
That's a great question. Hold on, I'll look it up for you real quick because I am not sure. It's over 100,000. I do remember that. 101,000, Dan. Damn near 102,000.
102,000. So you have 102,000 people who are going to be well lubricated, screaming at you at 3:30 in the afternoon. So, but I wanted to kind of talk about the one thing that I did like about this matchup. The one thing that I do like about this matchup, and like I said, it contradicts what I don't like. What I don't like is Tennessee being so explosive. What I do like is how good this defense is. The one thing, and again, we'll go back to the way I opened it up, is that we don't know anything because they haven't been tested. But what we've been able to see with our own two eyes, despite the talent level on the opposite sideline, this defense is very fast. They move side to side very, very well. They close space very well, even when they miss tackles. And I think, Harrison, you said for the first 2 games we missed 9 tackles. Is that correct? Does that sound
correct?
Right? But I would point out that, we missed 9 tackles, but the person who missed the tackle, there was somebody right behind them to clean it up. So it's not like that those missed tackles really burned you, so to speak. Now, the speed and athleticism of Tennessee is going to be far superior to anything we've seen to this point. So a missed tackle in the open field could actually, just really, really hurt you. But again, the one thing that I really, really like about this matchup is just how fast and athletic this defense is, because I feel like, and Kirby even mentioned this in his press conference about how they really challenge you sideline to sideline, but then they can also go vertical. I do feel like this defense can stop the run. I know last year I had my doubts on the ability to really stop a good running game. Early in the season, I feel like they're doing that fairly well, but then they're also able to get out in space and track you down. So I really like that about this defense. I think it matches up well with Tennessee. Of course, we're going to find out. What I believe could be completely wrong. I could get completely exposed. Tennessee could be so fast to the sideline that we can't get there. I don't know, but it's something that, as of right now, as of this moment, I feel really comfortable about, is the guys that we have on defense making plays in the open field and not allowing those massive explosive plays that we keep mentioning.
Well, I guess to go off that point real quick is, I think the one thing that has, and you go back to trends, and I know we talked about trends kind of in more of a negative manner, like, like you're waiting for this trend to end. Georgia's defense historically over the last 4 matchups, they're well suited to this style of game. Like you talked about. Damn. All right. Just immediately just wrecking havoc in chat. Shout out to Cannon. Georgia's built its defense to do more with less in the box. And that's the one thing Tennessee does to you is they stretch you out, they spread you out, and they make you commit to just playing with -1, -2 in that box count. And this year, I think that box count's going to be even more tilted toward Tennessee because they have a threat at quarterback with Joey Aguilar, who has shown his ability to get out and be an athlete in the open space. But I think that's something I like about this matchup, Dan and Kobe. I am buying stock on the interior of this defensive line for Georgia. I think they run 5 or 6 deep right now in terms of guys that could be starting elsewhere and playing elsewhere. I mean, that's Xavier McLeod, that's Kristen Miller, that's just Elijah Griffin, Joseph Jonah-Jonier. They got guys on the interior, and with Tennessee's run game, they do heavy H insert. They run inside zone. I think Georgia has what it takes to stop it. You don't have a Jordan Davis. You don't have a Jalen Carter, but I don't think you need in this matchup because Tennessee's offensive line guys, they returned just one starter from last year. The parallels between these two teams are very, very similar. Kobe, you want to get what you like about this matchup, or should we hit it's BLST's question real quick?
Yeah, let me glance at it.
What's y'all's confidence with the Georgia offense and Gunnar Stockton going into the Tennessee game?
Yeah, I think, from watching the game, I went back, and me and Harrison were kind of talking about this earlier in the week, went back and looked at some of the film, some of the plays from last week, and I think that my biggest concern, which is half-hearted, right, is kind of like Dan talked about. We seem to be a methodical offense at the moment that is, when on schedule, is hard to stop, right? I think the worry is always, and like any offense, any offense theoretically when on schedule is a good offense. It's when they get off of schedule, when a penalty happens, when a negative play occurs, which of course, it's going to happen on a road environment. How do you react? How do you adjust? What's the next play look like? Is that next play look like something that you should have run on second down if it was 2nd and 6? Or does it look like something to get you back into a plus category? It's 2nd and 12. We just ran an 8-yard play to kind of get it back to a much more third and manageable, maybe even if it breaks a tackle, go and get one. I think the biggest thing I'll look for this week will be the explosive plays. I think that you're going to have to dial up a few drives that are 5-6 play touchdowns that I just don't think you can survive on every drive having to be 9, 10, 12, 14 plays. I mean, they don't survive at any level of football at that methodical. You have to be able to eat up yards and eat them up quickly. I think that's probably my biggest question mark offensively. It's not really with Gunnar. It's really just like, and maybe it is, but like when the big plays are there, when the ability to hit a 30, 40, 50-yard play is there, and they will be there on Saturday, you have to be able to execute. You have to be able to put it in the end zone because they don't come often.
One of the things that I was thinking about this week when I was thinking about my confidence level in this offense is that one of the questions we has not been answered yet is, are we running because we have to, or are we running because we can? And I think that's one of those things that gets answered in a big game like this, and you find out really quick. It's, we're running because we could run it on anybody, or we're running because that's all we can do. We can't throw it. So I think that's going to be addressed pretty early on. But to your point about staying on schedule, I think it's going to be difficult to run it on 1st and 2nd down every single time and have to throw it on 3rd. Harrison, we've talked about this a million different times in the context of a million different ways. But when you get behind the chains, it makes it really hard to complete on 3rd down. And to think that you're going to run it on 1st and 2nd down every single time and stay on schedule, to me, is pretty naive to think that's going to happen. Tennessee's a good ball team. Kirby mentioned their defensive front, how fast and physical they are, and they do a really good job of stuff in the run. I mean, listen, sometimes Kirby has a little bit of Larry Munson to him, where it's the other team's the best team in the history of the world. And we all know that and understand that. But I do think there's a thread of truth in there where this Tennessee defense is pretty good and they are pretty physical. And I believe one of the things that we have come to learn through the last, I would say 15 years about the SEC is extremely physical. And it doesn't matter which team is involved, it's going to be physical. So this is going to be a physical game, the most physical game we've seen at this point of the year. So I'm with you guys. I think we're all of the same mind is we need to see a couple big plays. And Kirby has said, hey, I want to see some big plays too. He hasn't shied away. I will say his press conference this week, I felt like he gave legitimate answers. I don't think he really threw shade at anybody. And I think he gave a little bit of insight into the attitude around this team right now. Harrison, you were there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were there for their press conference. But I really felt like he gave a little bit of insight this week, a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, I think specifically Monday he was pretty good. Tuesday was
I was talking about Monday.
Yeah, Monday I thought he was fine, and I think he was open with the media. The thing I want to, I guess, ask in terms of when he's talking about Gunner. I mean, he faced multiple, I think 5 or 6 questions about Gunner Stockton specifically post game, maybe 3 or 4 on Monday. I'm wondering how much of that and what he said is him legitimately like putting his concerns out there, and how much of it is, hey, I'm trying to light fire under this guy, because we've seen him use it in the past. He does it a lot. He uses the media to his advantage to put some messages out there to his guys, to speak to his players. I'm curious to see what that is this week, what he was trying to get, if he was trying to get a message across to Gunner and saying like, hey, we need you to play better football. Gunner's been good. Gunner's kept you ahead of the sticks. He's kept you on schedule, but he needs to go from making the good play to making that great play. And that's seeing things downfield. And that kind of brings me to the point, Dan, I think you talked about it. I think this Tennessee defense is good. I think everybody can, agree with that. I do think they will pose a challenge. But one of the things I like about this matchup for Georgia, specifically this year, is just from when I was watching Tennessee's offense on tape, it seemed like they are still a single high man cover football team. And I think with this set of skills or receivers that Georgia has out there, you talk about a Zachariah Branch, you talk about a Colby Young, you talk about a Noah Thomas. I like that for Georgia this year, specifically in this matchup. Now, what you're concerned about is, okay, like Gunner's going to have to see it, because if there was one thing you saw in the Syracuse game, and this is where Syracuse wasn't able to take advantages of, they had one-on-one matchups several times in that football game, and Syracuse didn't have the guys to take advantage of it. I think Georgia does have the guys. We saw Notre Dame last year play man-to-man on Georgia and really give them problems. Like, Georgia was not able to separate. I don't think that's a problem this year. I think Georgia has natural separators. I think Zachariah Branch is one of them, if not the best on the team. And then you get 2 guys in Colby Young and Noah Thomas who should be your downfield traditional guys that you go up and ask to make a big play, whether it's on a jump ball or a back shoulder fade. I think that's what this offense needs to do to win this game. Yes, you're going to rely on the run. The one thing we know about this team so far is this team's going to run the piss out of the football. They're going to try and run it. You're going to try and run it down your throat no matter what, but they have to make plays through the air. And I think they have guys on the outside. The question for me in the passing game is, where's Gunner at in terms of seeing it and then having the confidence to go out there and throw it? Because Kobe, I think you can talk about this more than I can. When it comes to man coverage, yes, there's going to be times where you're wide open, but there's also going to be some times where you're going to have to throw the needle a little bit.
Yeah, like you're saying, I mean, I think that was the biggest hesitancy that people, Twitter warriors, everyone has definitely come for this week, was that, the windows were there, I think, this past Saturday for Gunner, whether it be a lesser opponent, whether it be it's rainy, the ball's a little wet, a little slick. At times, he either saw the windows a little too late or was hesitant to throw into a tight window. And like we've talked about, the windows are small, they close quickly. You have to be confident in what you see and have diagnosed and to throw it immediately. And I think sometimes it takes some time, right? Like, again, like we're talking about, the man started. This will be his 4th game at quarterback for Georgia. I mean, he's been drilled in his head the way Coach Smart, the way Mike Bobo wants him to play quarterback, and so he has to figure out the happy medium between maybe like where Coach Smart wants him to play quarterback and how Gunner has to play quarterback. I think that is definitely the area in which Stetson Bennett lived and was successful. I think that's an area where at times Jake Fromm was successful, a time where, Carson Beck has been successful. There's a level between the perfect quarterback and the quarterback that has to be played out on the fields from time to time. And that person has to take chances on occasion, have to kind of stick the ball in not a bad situation, but a risky situation, and hope your guy comes down with it. I think he'll have to be okay with that this week more than he ever has to or ever has been before. Like you're saying, I think that Gunner and Kirby, I think there's no way he hasn't been happy enough with how Gunner has played, but I will say he's probably used the media to kind of squeeze that last little bit of juice out of him and the people around him going into Tennessee.
The one thing that I've really picked up on is Kirby's being protective of him in the media. He has not really leveled any real heavy criticism on him at all. With Stetson, he never hesitated to lay criticism at his feet. Maybe he learned his lesson on that a little bit, because Stetson's kind of relationship has been a little bit cold, so to speak, since he's left. And maybe he realized his mistake that you can't really go that hard at the quarterback all the time. I think he overcorrected with Carson. Can we agree on that? I think he coddled Carson a little bit too much. I think there is a little layer of, like Harrison and you both eloquently pointed out, there's like a little layer that message is kind of seeping through, like, hey, whatever. But you know what? And I know it sounds silly, and this really isn't coddling. It's sometimes you just got to put your arm around a guy and be like, we have a really damn good defense on the other team. Go take a shot. I trust you. Go take a shot. If it doesn't work out great, as long as you're making the right read, I'll live with the results. Just don't make what you don't want is your quarterback to make a boneheaded play, right? One that's just stupid. And we saw a lot of that out of Carson this year. Not so much the year before, but there were so many interceptions last year where you're like, who in the hell were you throwing to? Now, again, we don't know the play call.Maybe somebody ran the wrong route, whatever. All I'm saying is appearances were like, wow, that looked really, really bad. So what we don't want to see is Gunner go make a play where you're like, oh, wow, what were you looking at, right? But I don't think there's anybody on this podcast, and my guess would be the majority of the people watching the show as well. If he throws it, on a post corner or something like that and tries to thread it between two guys, it gets tipped and picked off 25, 30 yards downfield. I mean, it's almost like a damn punt. Like, who cares? Like, I appreciate you taking a shot. Like, okay, that's fine. I'll live with it. You throw a weak little pass on a screen and it gets picked off and taken back to the house because you didn't throw it or whatever. I'll be mad. But I'm really not going to be mad if you throw a vert down the field and you try to throw it over the guy's head and the defensive back has to step on him and it picks it off 35, 40 yards downfield. I'm not going to be upset. I don't think Kirby's going to be upset. You know what? I don't think the defense is going to be upset. So, like I said, sometimes I think maybe just putting your arm around a guy and being like, take a shot. We got a really good defense and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I think I'm going to be, and the fan base is going to be a lot more upset if one of those quick bubble screens gets jumped this week by a DB or by a defensive end and taken back to the house. It's going to be a whole different feeling than if he lets one rip down the field and a safety just happens to make a good play. I think that we're flirting because of a little bit of the ball tap and throw. I think we're already flirting with people jumping the bubble screens if we're not careful. I think that little bit of speed you're missing is probably at Tennessee, probably in the SEC. We'll have to be careful on the tells that we do when we have those quick hitters to the outside and make sure people aren't taking advantage of them. A good way to do that is to turn the shoulders like you're going to throw the screen and throw it to the blocker running down the sideline. That's an easy way to quit jumping those. So, like you're saying, high risk, high reward sometimes. I think it'll all really just depend on what they've seen on film and what they think they can do. I think that if the head ball coach believes that he can throw the ball 15 for 20 for 135 yards and we can win the football game, that's what he'll ask him to do. That is one thing I know about the head ball coach is he's not going to ask more of Gunner than what he needs him to do.
Absolutely. And I'm curious to see what he needs to do in this matchup. I think that's the biggest question for me is in regards to Georgia's offense is what does Gunner need to do for Georgia to win this game? Does he need to throw it 30 times? Does he need to throw it 25 times? Where's the happy medium in terms of what they need him to do to win this football game? I'm currently, boys, in full transparency, we're about to get the student athlete injury report here in a minute for the SEC. So when that comes through, I will relay that information on there. I'm assuming we will get an update on Juan Gaston and Ernest Green. And I guess with that, we will talk about that real quick. Kirby Smart this week, as early as this morning, said that both Gaston and Green were making good progress. Both were going through indie drills. From what I remember, he said on Tuesday, on Monday's practice and Tuesday's practice. Again, just because they were going through indies doesn't mean they're going to be back 100% for the game. You mentioned that today on the teleconference that you necessarily don't want to throw a guy out there less than 100% because sometimes it can end up hurting you. We will have updates on that here in a minute whenever those availability reports are made available to the public. But in the meantime, gentlemen, I got some prop bets for you.
I just want to point out that the biggest Tennessee killer is going to play, Brett Thorson.
Ooh. I should have added a Brett Thorson prop in here. Man, that's a missed opportunity. All right, prop bets for this week. Both y'all have been killing the prop bets. You suck on the picks, the game picks, but you've been great on the prop bets. Props for this week. All right. Tennessee rushing yards over under 106.5. What are we taking, boys?
I think I'm going under on that, just because I think he's going to try to air it out, and I think that the teeth of the defense is the front seven for us. I think if there's going to be a place we're soft, I worry it's our back end a little bit. From what I've seen through the first 2 weeks, like you're talking about, the four middle linebackers we have sideline to sideline, speed-wise, are as good as we've had in, maybe in the entire tenure four deep. So, I think Volunteers struggle running the ball a little bit more than that.
How good is Aguilar at running the football? Do we know yet?
He is an able runner, not a. I haven't seen them really design him a run per se, but he does take off when he has the chance.
All right, I'll go under. I'll ride with you on the under. I think that number would be over if they had a quarterback who was willing to pull it and run.
All right, both say under to that. Who gets the first sack? Neither team has allowed a sack coming into this game. Who breaks that streak?
Tennessee gets the first sack.
Ooh. Interesting. I'm gonna.
I didn't say they got the most. I said they're gonna get the first one.
I think just for the fun of it, Dan, I think I'm just gonna go opposite. I was thinking in my head the cat blitz like we hit them with in 2019, where corner comes from the field or from the boundary either side and gets them on a big third down. So we'll go with the Dogs getting the first sack just to play on the opposite side. Dan, no ties here tonight.
Listen, since he's described or he explained his pick, I'll explain mine. I think Gunner, it's in his mind to stay in the pocket and not pull it down so quick. So I think they're going to get one quick.
I like it.
All right,
I like it
because he's going to try to stay in the pocket.
That makes sense. Prop bet number 2. Well, an original prop bet, I guess. Total turnovers in this game. This is not for either. This is not for one side. This is for both in this game. Over under 1.5. Georgia has I think they've created one turnover so far with the interception from Ellis Robinson. Tennessee is even in the turnover margin this far this year.
I like this over personally. Dogs are on the road. They're going to turn the ball over one time. I think we'll get one from them as well. So,
yeah, I mean, you're talking about just 2 turnovers in the game. I mean, I could easily see a ball popping out here or there. So, Yeah, I'll go over.
Too much emotion in this game, not for
Right.
Yeah.
It's too early in the season too.
All right, next one. Back to we'll stick with the statistic and then we'll go to the last one. Prop bet number 3. Gunnar Stockton over under passing yards, 245.5. Where do we sit on this, boys?
Personally, I would love to say that he would be over this, but I don't see it. I think if I had to compare a game in my head right now, and it could be just wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think you are going to see Gunnar be put in a situation similar to Jake Fromm when we went and played Notre Dame. He is going to be asked to move the sticks and create with his feet from time to time, but he is not going to sit back there in 5 wide and throw the ball all over the field all night. I think that he is going to be just a little under this, maybe in like the 220 range, but I think we're going to run the ball a decent amount. I know that Dan's not all in on the run pass, and I know that maybe I'm not either, but I do see you've definitely tried to establish a running game this far in the season. I think that Kirby's going to try to ride the horse in there and run the ball.
Yeah, so here in your notes you have Joey Aguilar has 288 yards of total offense, the best for any FBS quarterback, which I find very hard to believe because there's like passing quarterbacks that have thrown for 400 or 500 yards in the game already. So I don't know how that's true. But even if it was true, if he's the very best at 288, then that means Gunnar ain't got a shot at 245. So I think I would go under. I think for the reasons you mentioned, I don't think Georgia's going to try to score 65 points. I don't think that they're going to be. I don't see that. I just don't see it. I think like this, to me, it feels like Jake Fromm's freshman year where he did just enough. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't see JT Daniels like I'm going to throw it on every play and try to hit a home run on every play. I see the take care of the football and just move us down the field.
Until proven otherwise, I'm on that boat 100%.
All right, I added another one. So this is second to last. Who scores first?
I got one for you. Whoever gets the ball first scores first.
Oh, shit.
That's a cop out. I ain't letting you take that.
No, it's not. That's
first?
a perfectly good. Yeah, it is.
You got to pick.
Whoever
you got to pick Georgia or Tennessee.
No, I pick whoever gets the ball first will score first in this game. Tennessee always scores first when they get on their first drive, and I think Kirby's going to make a stance, and he's going to have Bobo. I mean, Bobo does a phenomenal job, or historically has done a phenomenal job with the first 10 to 13 scripted plays. I think it's whoever touches ball first gets 7 points.
The team that crosses the goal line first, that team. I'll take that team.
Tremendous picks, boys. Tremendous picks. All right, last one.
Hold on. Wait. So neither one of us picked, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So I guess we're just scrapping that one?
Yeah, we're scrapping that one. Y'all both can answer for this. First offensive play of the game for Georgia is a run or a pass.
Pass.
Run.
Ooh, all right. We got some differences here. Dan, I want to hear, because I'm with Dan here. I think it's gonna be a pass. I think
it's gonna be a screener swing pass. I think it's just gonna be an extension of the run game. I think it's gonna be a little quick pass. What? Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Extension of the run game. I always love that. It is true, but it's so funny how often it's used about the screens.
Kobe, any justification for the run instead of the pass first?
Pride. Just a pride thing. We're gonna run, just smash mouth football down your throat all night. Here comes the run.
All right.
Dude, we ran I Right 34 Veer on that was our first Pro Right 34 Veer was the first play of every damn high school game we ever had.
I'm impressed that you remember that. The verbiage too.
Yeah. Pro Right 34
all those years.
Yeah. Every time.
Impressive. Damn. Shout out to Dan. All right. Well, that's our prop bets. Kobe both have the under on Tennessee rushing yards, 106.5. Dan is taking Tennessee gets first sack. Kobe goes with Georgia. Both say the over on total turnovers at 1.5. They were too chicken to say who scores first. Gunnar Stockton passing yards at 245.5. Both say under. And then Dan has gone with the first offensive play being a pass for Georgia. Kobe has it at a run. Those are the prop bets, gentlemen. Y'all have done really well on the prop bets. I believe Kobe's the only one that has lost a prop bet, just one so far. And I believe it was like you came really, really close for it to hit. And that was in week 1. They've done really well. Now, let's get into game picks. This has not gone so well. Kobe is putting up a Mike Norvell 2024. He is 2-11 overall.
Good heavens.
Dan started off really hot. Dan was looking fantastic, like a continuation of last year. But last week was rough. Dan is 7-6 overall this season. Remember, we are not betting experts. We are not college football experts, although we like to think we are. We're not financial advisors. So bet with these.
Damn sure ain't financial advisor.
Yeah. Don't come to us with that. Now, if you have some money you want to give us, we would appreciate that. We will take that all the time.
Don't take sponsorships too.
Yeah, sponsorships as well. We don't do free ad promos here, but you can send us some money and we will read out your business. All right, let's review. We did 2 early picks to start the week on Sunday. It was the first time we've ever done that. I said,
and we'll never
hey,
do it again.
Well, it's just where you're leaning because now you can share where you stand in terms of if you're sticking with that or if you want to change it up. No shame in changing it. All right. So the first game, we got 5 games this week. We have Miami hosting USF. Miami's a 16.5 point favorite. That line has not moved since Sunday. Actually, it has. I lied. It is now 17.5. Dan, on Sunday, you said you're leaning toward Miami covering the 16.5. Do you want to stick with 16.5 or do you want to move it?
So here's the thing. You pick these bullshit games, and I would not bet that game. That's not a game I would bet. I would stay the hell away from it. So you're like, oh, Dan had a really bad week. He's 7-6 now. Because you're making me pick games I would never pick. 16.5. I mean, yeah, I'll take fucking Miami in the 16.5, I guess. But
no, you get it. You get it at 17.5.
No, I picked it at 16.5.
But the line's at 17.5, so you can get it at 17.5 if you want it.
Yeah, if
you want to, that's a lot. That's a lot better to me. 17.5 is a lot better.
If I'm picking Miami, no, the heck it ain't.
No, if you're picking Miami, no, it's not. If you're picking UCF or USF like I am, then I get an extra touchdown to play with or an extra field goal to play with.
Yeah,
full transparency.
I'm sticking with Miami because
I asked Dan the other week. I was like, hey, do you want to keep the betting segments where I bring you the games, or do you want to pick games that are your best bets? And he said, no, I like the way we do it. So don't take his hate speech over here.
But can't you pick the way it is. Can't we pick Miami, but USF covers?
Yeah. I mean, you can pick USF to cover.
So you're picking Miami and them to cover.
Yeah, I'm saying Miami's going to win because if Miami is who they claim they are, they need to be able to beat South Florida by 21 points.
Yeah, see, I think I'm taking Miami, but USF will cover the game. Like, they'll cover 17.
So you're taking points. USF plus the points.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. South Carolina, I believe, hosts Vanderbilt on Saturday. This is now down to a 4.5 point line. South Carolina is still the favorite. Both y'all had South Carolina covering 5.5.
Scar.
Y'all want to stick with this? Or...
Yeah, I think Beamer Ball kind of puts baby brother back to bed.
All right.
Scar.
They're both sticking with that. Do y'all want 4.5? You want to keep it at 5.5, or you want to go down to 4.5?
I'll take my best line, of course. I mean, if we're gambling on this, I want the best line available.
All right.
Unless, I get 2 points? Do I get 2 points if I stay at 5.5 and it hits? Because then I may would be willing to talk about that.
I don't know. We'll stick with just the one win, but yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we do like a bonus bet each week and like a bonus pick, and it counts worth 2 wins. Like it counts as 2
wins.
wins.
We come with our own game, our lock of the week.
Yeah.
Nice,
Lock of the week. You get 2
wins.
Welcome
to Bears. What was Bears segment called when it was on game day?
beats me. That was
Okay.
God.
It's been a couple years now. Since
yeah,
the
it
Bears
has.
have been
Steve
gone.
does it now.
Yeah.
All right. Dan was shitting on the USF line. If he shits on these lines, I just don't think he wants to make picks this week. Clemson goes to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 3.5-point dog at home.
Oh, that's not bad. I think
Where are we sitting,
Clemson.
boys?
I think Clemson wins and covers.
Yeah. I ride with that.
Gosh, it's so weird though. I saw that Haynes King is a full go. I just think that Dabo had to have had quite the come to Jesus meeting with the Clemson team after the scare they had against Troy. I mean, I think they're a really good football team. I think they're a really talented football team. I think their defense has a lot of good players in their front seven. I think they get it done, win by a touchdown, roughly.
All right. Let's go to he's gonna hate on this one. Alabama host Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a 20.5-point dog.
Damn it, boy. I wouldn't bet that. I would not touch that line. You don't bet a game with a 20.5-point line.
I can switch that. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to put a pick on it, we will switch.
I mean, Bama's winning that game, but
how many points?
We don't do money line. We don't do money line.
But just tell me. Close your eyes in confidence. How many points does Alabama win by? First number that comes to your head.
Shit, I don't know.
Okay. I thought I had him right there.
Bama Dan's not here. I thought he was gonna say like 21, but like, yeah, then take the 20.5. All right, we'll switch that out. All right, here we go. I know who Dan's picking for this game because he just hates one of these teams. Notre Dame hosts Texas A&M.
Yes.
Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite at home.
Sure.
Notre Dame 6.5.
You know, Jimbo's not the coach here anymore, so I don't hate him as much anymore. But Notre Dame is a really good football team. They can run the ball. What's the over under on that game?
The over under on that game is 49.5.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Shit, I'd take Notre Dame in the under.
Kobe?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's got a lot to prove after that game against Miami. I think that left a bad taste in their mouth. Like you're saying, it's tough to play on the road, period. I think that's enough for Notre Dame to win and to cover.
All right, last one. It's the game we just talked about for half an hour. Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. This is down from, I believe, the line open at 7 points. Who are we taking this game?
I've heard that line's gotten all the way down to 2.
Is it 2 now? Here, let me check.
I don't know what it is, but
ESPN still has it at 3.5, so we'll go with 3.5. But yeah, picks for this game, boys. And if you don't like the spread and you pick Tennessee to cover the spread, that's fine. But just tell us like where you think in terms of score, what you see happening if that's the case.
I'll take Georgia and lay the points. If we win, it's going to be by a touchdown or more. If we lose, it's going to be by a touchdown or more. So I mean, the line, I don't think it's. I don't think it's relevant. I mean, I don't think the line's going to come into play, if that, so to speak. It's to me, it's a pick'em game because I think whoever is going to win is going to end up winning by more than the touchdown. If that makes sense.
I agree. I think that in an environment the way this game is going to be, someone's going to get put to sleep, and you just got to hope it's not you. I don't think that this is going to be. I just don't think this is going to be a fight to the very end. I think this is a game that you're going to look in halfway point of the third quarter, and maybe not halfway, maybe beginning of the fourth, and somebody's going to have a chance to go up by 2 scores late in this game. And whoever that is probably going to put the other team to bed.
All right. Well, there you have it. Picks for the week from these guys. I don't think they have best bets or their lock of the week, so we will start that next week in terms of counting the wins. Dan has Miami, South Carolina, Clemson, Notre Dame, Georgia, all covering as favorites. Kobe has taken a dog. Kobe has taken South Florida plus the points. South Carolina, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Georgia to cover as well. That's going to do it for the Top Dawg Talk podcast. That's Dan Kiley. That's Kobe Piers. I'm Harrison Reno. Real quick, I just see it popped up. The Notre Dame or the Tennessee, Georgia injury report is out. As you'd expect, gentlemen, there is, you don't get much more clarity on Juan Gaston or Ernest Green. I will say, seeing Ernest Green listed as probable makes me think he's definitely probably going to play, as that would indicate. I think that's a better designation than Juan Gaston in terms of, I think it seems like they're more confident Ernest will play this weekend.
What happened when did something happen to Thomas Blackshear? I know he played in the first game. I didn't see something happen to him. Was it a practice injury possibly?
It's news to me.
Okay.
Cool deal. It's news to me.
We went through this whole podcast, 52 minutes almost, and we did not mention one time that Tennessee's down both starting corners.
That wasn't the notes. You are correct. We did not talk about that.
And possibly 3 defensive linemen right there.
Good Lord. So, if we can't throw this weekend, then we're in a lot of trouble. So that'll just leave you with that.
Now I will say, because I did put this on the stats, and that's a good point by Dan. We should have brought this up. Even without Ricky Gibson and Jamal McCoy, Tennessee leads the SEC in pass breakups at 14. They rank second in the FBS, and that only behind SMU. They have 2 transfers playing out there: Colton Hood from Colorado and Ty Goodwill from South Alabama, in addition to Boo Carter playing that nickel position for them. I think for Georgia fans, I think this is a good update. The right side of that line was pretty problematic at times in that game versus Austin Peay. It steadied up in the second half, but you're going to want one of your more experienced starters back for this game and healthy. Juan Gaston, hey, it's going to be his first start on the road, but with what he showed versus Marshall, you want that guy in the game because he's one of your best 5 offensive linemen. And for Tennessee, like you said, that's 3 starters are going to be down, or at least 2 starters. I don't know if Hobbs would have started this year or is starting this year, but that's already 2 down for Tennessee. Anyways, that's going to do it for tonight's edition of the Top Dawg Talk podcast. You heard it here, Georgia across the board. I'm taking Georgia at 3.5 to cover on the road in their SEC opener. We will be back here Sunday at 8:30. We'll see you next time.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
I got the music this time, Dan.